The very first words that leave your mouth determine whether someone's attention locks in or drifts away. That moment, those first 3 to 5 seconds, are not just an introduction, they are a handshake with the human brain. And the brain, my friends, is ruthlessly efficient. It's scanning every signal, deciding in a blink, is this relevant? Is this safe? Is this worth my energy? If the answer isn't a resounding yes, you're tuned out before you've even begun. That's why the opening of anything, whether it's a speech, a conversation, a sales pitch, or even a personal introduction, has to do more than simply start. It has to ignite asterisk. You're not there to unload information. You're there to create an emotional spike strong enough to override their default mode of distraction. We live in a world where every mind is under siege from notifications, endless scrolling, and mental to-do lists that never end. Your words must be powerful enough to slice through that noise and demand presence. So how do you do it? You tap into something primal. You speak in a way that hooks both the conscious and the subconscious. The conscious mind loves novelty. It's attracted to things it hasn't seen or heard before. The subconscious mind, on the other hand, is wired for survival. It reacts instantly to anything that signals reward or threat. That's why a bold statement, an unexpected question, or a revealing personal confession works. It jolts the nervous system and says, "Pay attention. Something important is happening here." Here's the truth most people miss. The first sentence isn't just about content, it's about state transfer. When you speak, you're transmitting your emotional state. If you start nervous, tentative, or unsure, the audience feels that in their body, and they mirror it back to you. But if you start grounded, intense, and certain, you pull them into that same energy. Certainty is magnetic. It bypasses skepticism because people instinctively trust those who seem to know exactly where they're going. Think about the greatest communicators in history. They didn't start with "Hello, thank you for having me here today." They started with something that made the listener's brain go, "Wait, what did they just say?" Martin Luther King Jr. didn't begin with logistics. He began with a dream. Steve Jobs didn't start Apple product launches by listing features. He began with an idea so simple and compelling that you wanted to lean forward. The opening is a declaration of intent. It tells people exactly how much this moment matters to you and how much it should matter to them. But here's where the philosophy deepens. A hook is not manipulation, it's connection. You're not tricking people into listening. You're reminding them why they wanted to listen in the first place. You're opening a doorway to something meaningful. If you believe in the value of what you have to say, you owe it to your audience to wake them up so they can actually receive it. Otherwise, your brilliance evaporates into the air, unheard and unused. So before you speak, before a single word leaves your lips, ask yourself, what can I say in the first sentence that will make them feel asterisk? What can I say that will change the temperature in the room? It might be a story, it might be a question, it might be a single line so bold it hangs in the air for a full 3 seconds before you continue. But whatever it is, it has to be true, it has to be you, and it has to grab the human soul by the collar and say, wake up. This matters. Because if you win the first 5 seconds, you win the next 5 minutes. And if you win the next 5 minutes, you just might change a life. Information is everywhere. We are drowning in it. Every day, people hear thousands of words, read countless headlines, scroll past endless posts. Yet here's the paradox. Despite all of this exposure, very little of it stays. Why? Because most communication is built on the belief that if we just give people more data, more logic, more bullet points, they'll remember, and they don't. The mind forgets information, but it feels emotion. And what the heart feels, the mind stores. You have to understand, we are emotional creatures first, rational creatures second. Every decision we make, whether it's buying a product, joining a cause, or changing our life, has an emotional driver at its core. Logic just comes in later to justify it. If you want to truly hook people, to create a message that doesn't just touch their ears but their soul, you have to speak the language of emotion. Think about your own life. The moments you remember most vividly are not necessarily the ones with the most detail. They are the ones that carried the strongest emotional charge. The time you felt unstoppable pride, crushing disappointment, deep love, or piercing fear. Those moments live inside you because they are wired into your nervous system. Words have the power to create that same imprint if you use them with intention. When you speak, don't just focus on asterisk, what asterisk you want to say. Focus on asterisk, what you want them to feel asterisk. Are you trying to make them feel possibility? Then speak with the energy of vision, painting pictures so vivid they can almost touch them. Are you trying to awaken urgency? Then let your tone sharpen, your pace quicken, your words cut through their complacency like glass. Emotion is the amplifier of meaning. It turns a statement into a force. Now, here's the deeper layer. Emotional resonance is not about hyping people up or manufacturing sentiment. It's about aligning with what's already inside them. You're not giving them emotions, they already have them. You're simply activating what's been dormant. If someone has a deep longing for change, your words should tap into that longing and bring it to the surface. If someone has a hidden fear holding them back, your words should gently touch that fear so they can confront it. This is how you move people, not by speaking at them, but by awakening what's already alive in them. Philosophically, this is the difference between communication and connection. Communication is an exchange of words. Connection is an exchange of humanity. When you speak from a place of raw authenticity, when you let your own passion, vulnerability, and conviction bleed into your voice, people feel it. And when they feel it, they trust it. Because at our core, we all recognize truth when it's wrapped in real emotion. And remember, emotions are contagious. Neuroscience tells us about mirror neurons. Our brains literally mimic the emotional state of those we observe. If you're flat, the room will be flat. If you're lit up with conviction, the room catches fire. Your emotional state is not just part of the message. It is asterisk the message. So the next time you speak, stop thinking about the perfect sentence. Start thinking about the perfect feeling. Because people may not remember your exact words 5 years from now, but they will remember the way you made their heart race, their chest tighten, or their spirit lift. That's the real hook. Because in the end, it's not what you say that makes you unforgettable. It's what they feel when you say it. Facts might convince the mind, but stories move the heart. And if you want people hooked, not just listening politely but leaning forward, you need to make them feel like they're not just hearing your words, they're asterisk inside asterisk them. Storytelling isn't a gimmick. It's the oldest, most powerful form of human connection we have. Long before we had books, lectures, or PowerPoints, we had stories told around fires. And those stories weren't just entertainment. They were survival tools. They carried values, warnings, hopes, and visions from one generation to the next. When you tell a great story, something remarkable happens in the brain. The listener's mind doesn't just process the language. It simulates the experience. If you talk about running through a forest, their brain lights up in the same regions as if they were running. If you describe the tension of a life-changing moment, their pulse quickens alongside yours. You've pulled them out of the audience and placed them right there with you. That's why storytelling bypasses the analytical defenses that often shut down direct persuasion. A story isn't arguing with them. It's inviting them to live an experience, but not just any story will hook them. It has to be relatable at its core. This doesn't mean everyone has to have lived the same details. The power is in the shared emotional truth. If you're telling a story about losing everything, your audience may never have gone bankrupt, but they know what it feels like to lose. If you tell a story about achieving the impossible, they may not have climbed a mountain, but they've dreamed of reaching their own summit. You don't just want them to hear the plot. You want them to see themselves inside it. Here's where the depth comes in. Every story is actually two stories. There's the one you're telling on the surface, what happened, who was there, how it unfolded, and then there's the deeper one, the meaning, the shift, the transformation. The surface story is the vehicle, but the deeper story is the destination. If you only give them the events, you've told a memory. If you also give them the meaning, you've told a lesson that sticks for life. When you tell a story, don't rush it. Use details that make it vivid, sounds, smells, textures. Let them see the sweat on your forehead, hear the crack in your voice, feel the knot in your stomach. Every detail is a thread, and the more threads you weave, the more impossible it is for their mind to wander away. But also know when to pause. Sometimes the silence between your words is where the meaning sinks in. And there's a deeper responsibility here. When people see themselves in your story, you're holding a mirror to their own potential. You're showing them that transformation is possible, that struggle can become strength, that pain can give birth to purpose. That's not just powerful, it's sacred. Words can inspire, but stories can rewire how a person sees themselves and what they believe is possible. So, if you want them hooked, tell them a story that doesn't just entertain them, but moves them. Make it human, make it raw, make it unforgettable. Because long after your facts fade, long after your clever lines are forgotten, they'll still remember the moment they felt something shift deep inside them. And they'll remember you as the one who sparked it. Because the truth is, people don't just remember the storyteller. They remember the story they became a part of. The human brain is a prediction machine. From the moment you start speaking, it's trying to guess where you're going, what you'll say next, and how it all ends. And here's the danger. The moment they think they know what's coming, their attention begins to drift. They stop truly listening because they believe they've already figured it out. That's why if you want to hold someone's attention, not just for seconds but for the entirety of your message, you must learn the art of breaking patterns. Pattern interrupts are moments where you disrupt the expected. They are the cracks in predictability where curiosity rushes back in. It could be as subtle as a pause so long that they lean in to see if you'll continue. It could be as dramatic as a sudden shift in tone or pace that jolts them awake. It could be a surprising question, a burst of humor in the middle of seriousness, or even stepping off the stage and into the audience when no one expects it. These moments reset the brain, forcing the listener to re-engage because they can no longer coast on autopilot. From a psychological standpoint, this works because our attention system is wired to notice change. We're attuned to novelty because it could mean opportunity or danger. In our evolutionary past, the rustle in the bushes might be prey we could eat or a predator that could eat us. Either way, it demanded focus. When you create unexpected shifts in your delivery, you're tapping into that ancient survival mechanism. You're telling the brain, pay attention, something just changed. Philosophically, it's also a reminder of how life works. Growth itself is a pattern interrupt. Nothing changes until something disrupts the comfort zone. When you break the predictable rhythm in your speech, you're not just keeping people awake. You're modeling the very transformation you want them to embrace in their lives. You're showing them that the moments that wake us up are rarely the ones we expect. But here's the key. Pattern interrupts are not about being gimmicky. If they feel forced or irrelevant, they pull the listener out instead of drawing them in. The interruption must serve the message. A pause should give weight to the sentence that follows. A sudden burst of intensity should match the passion of the point you're making. Even humor, when used as an interrupt, should create a deeper emotional bond, not distract from the meaning. When done with purpose, these shifts keep people in a constant state of engaged anticipation. They don't just listen to your words, they experience them. In practice, this might mean slowing your voice to a whisper when the point you're about to make could change their life. It might mean stopping mid-sentence and walking to the edge of the stage, locking eyes with someone as if they're the only person in the room. It might mean using a single, powerful word and letting it hang there long enough to echo in their minds. These are not random theatrics. They are deliberate recalibrations of attention. If you've ever been in a conversation and someone suddenly says your name in the middle of a sentence, you know how quickly your mind snaps back. That's what a good pattern interrupt does. It calls your audience's name without actually speaking it. It says, this is not the moment to drift. This is the moment to wake up. And that's the ultimate goal, because if they're awake, they're reachable. And if they're reachable, you have the chance to plant something in them that could take root and grow long after you've left the stage. Because the truth is, nothing changes until something unexpected breaks the pattern. And in that instant, you don't just have their attention, you have their full presence. One of the fastest ways to lose an audience is to make them feel like an audience. The moment people sense you're performing at them instead of speaking with them, they emotionally step back. But when you create the feeling that this is a conversation, that you're not just delivering a message but exchanging an experience, something shifts, walls come down, the energy changes, people stop observing and start participating. That's the essence of conversational framing. It's about shaping your words so every listener feels like you're talking directly to them, even in a room of thousands. The most powerful communicators don't just project their voice outward, they pull their audience inward. They do it through language, through tone, and through an awareness of the emotional state of the people in front of them. From a psychological perspective, this works because of how our brains process personal relevance. When someone uses inclusive language, words like you, we, and together, our subconscious flags it as important. It stops feeling like background noise and starts feeling like it's about *us*. And when something is about us, we don't just hear it. We feel it, we internalize it, we act on it. Think of the difference between a teacher saying, "This is important for students to remember," versus saying, "This is something you will use the rest of your life." The second version doesn't just transfer information, it transfers ownership. You've handed the listener a key and told them, "This unlocks something for you." That's what conversational framing does. It makes the message personal, urgent, and non-transferable. But this goes beyond just word choice. It's also about mirroring your audience's inner dialogue. If you can articulate what they're already thinking or feeling, sometimes even before they can put it into words, you create a powerful sense of connection. They feel understood, and when people feel understood, they open up to understanding you. Philosophically, this is about dissolving the invisible barrier between speaker and listener. Too often, communication becomes a one-way broadcast, like tossing pebbles into a crowd and hoping some of them land. But real connection is like lighting a fire. You have to get close enough for the spark to jump. That closeness comes from acknowledging the shared human experience between you and your audience. They're not listeners or clients or followers. They are fellow travelers on the same road, each navigating their own storms and searching for their own light. Practically, you can create this intimacy even in a massive setting. Make eye contact. Not a sweeping, generic scan of the crowd, but real moments where you lock eyes with someone as if you're speaking only to them. Ask questions that invite them to reflect internally, even if they never answer out loud. Use stories, analogies, and examples that speak to common human challenges: fear, love, ambition, regret, so that no one feels left out of the conversation. And here's the deeper truth. When you speak to people in a way that makes them feel seen, they stop being an audience and start being a community. And a community is infinitely more powerful than a crowd. A crowd can be entertained, a community can be transformed. So the next time you step into a conversation, whether it's one-on-one or one-to-many, remember this. You're not trying to impress them, you're trying to connect with them. Because connection is the foundation on which all influence is built. And if you can make every person in the room feel like you are speaking to *them*, you won't just have their attention, you'll have their trust. And once you have their trust, you can lead them anywhere. The final moments of any message are the ones people carry with them. They may forget pieces of your story, the exact facts you shared, even some of the emotions you stirred. But what lingers is the feeling you leave them with when it's over. That's why the closing hook is not just an ending, it's a launch pad. It's the moment you hand them something so compelling, so unresolved, or so challenging that it follows them out the door, into their car, into their dreams that night. Too many people treat the close of a talk like a period at the end of a sentence. They summarize, thank the audience, and step away, and while there's nothing wrong with gratitude, it's a missed opportunity if that's all you give. Your close is your final chance to ignite action. It's where you transform an idea into a personal mission. And to do that, you need to plant something that refuses to be ignored. From a psychological perspective, endings have disproportionate weight in memory. This is called the peak end rule. People judge an entire experience based largely on its most intense moment and how it ended. You want your ending to carry that intensity, that mental spike. So when they think back on your words, it doesn't fade into a blur. The most effective closings create one of three things: a vision they can't stop seeing, a question they can't stop asking, or a challenge they can't stop confronting. A vision works because it pulls them forward. It makes them hungry for a better future. A question works because it opens a loop in their mind they instinctively want to close. A challenge works because it engages their pride, their courage, their drive to prove themselves. Philosophically, this is about handing the power back to them. Your words can inspire, but their actions are what create change. If your close leaves them inspired but passive, you've lit a fire with no fuel. But if your close leaves them with something they must do decide or become you've started a chain reaction that can alter their trajectory. Here's what this might look like in practice. Instead of ending with a thank you for listening, you might say, when you leave here today, someone in your life is going to need your courage. The question is, will you recognize that moment, and will you show up? Notice how that's not a conclusion. It's a call. It moves the attention away from you and back onto them, where the real transformation happens. Your close should also match the energy of your message. If you've been speaking with passion, don't fizzle out. Finish with that same intensity, so your energy anchors the emotional state you've built in them. If your talk has been deeply personal and vulnerable, your close should feel like an intimate handover, as if you're entrusting them with something sacred. The energy you end with is the energy they'll take with them. And remember, this is not about manipulation. It's about leadership. Leadership is the ability to take someone from where they are to where they need to be. And your close is the moment you point to that horizon and say, that's where we're going. Are you coming with me? So when you stand in that final moment, don't let it slip away casually. Make it deliberate. Make it count. Make it something they can't walk away from without carrying it inside them. Because in the end, the greatest hook you can leave is not your words. It's the version of themselves they now believe they can become.